All right. Hey, guys. So, will they buy it? You know, those guys are doing this for the second time. This is actually kind of a cool concept. I'm not getting the presentation that I wanted to. I think just the first slide is missing, but we'll make this work. So the talk is, just disregard the slides. Just pay attention to me. The talk is going to be about the fundamental question, will they buy it? And the important thing here is that if you're in B2B, and you're doing any kind of customer development, or you're trying to build a successful startup, a successful, profitable company, that's the only and most fundamental question you have to ask yourself. Now, when it comes to this slide, I don't want you to take this as a personal mantra, right? Might be a bad idea. But in business, money is the ultimate validation. It's the strongest signal that what you're working on is actually worthwhile and is creating value in the world. All right, so some people might think, well, that's a cool concept, but how do I experiment with pricing? How do I charge for things that don't really exist yet? Very easily, I'll give you a case study of Elastic Sales. This is a business I started 3 years ago. And when we first had the idea, here's what we did in a couple of steps. We had the idea to run and to offer startups an outsourced sales team on demand. Think Amazon's AWS, but with salespeople. So you replace the servers with salespeople, right? And as a startup, you could tap into that resource, into that infrastructure, and scale up your sales resources up and down and experiment with it. Wouldn't that be an amazing idea? We had that idea on a Monday morning, and on Tuesday, we started cold calling companies, pitching them on the idea. We didn't put together a logo, no website, no references, no PowerPoint. We didn't research the market. We started cold calling companies, trying to empower them to educate us if our idea was good. And also allowing them to tell us what the pricing should be and if they would be willing to pay for something like this. And here's the sequence of events. We have the idea on a Monday. We actually start cold calling on a Tuesday. And 14 days later, we have 7 paying customers. And then we think, oh, shit, I guess we have to build a company now. A lot of times it's the other way around, right? You come up with an idea, a brand, a business, and then you hope you can get customers. Doing it this way around will ensure that success is much more likely outcome. So here's the fundamental flaw that we had with Elastic in the pricing that we tested and how we fixed that later on with some experiments. So when we first started, we thought the best model would actually be to give people a super flexible, no-risk pricing model so you would pay as you go on a day-to-day basis. You would rent salespeople and pay them on a daily basis, right? That seemed like the coolest, easiest, most innovative model possible. The problem with that was that with that pricing model, it was impossible for us to scale. It was impossible to plan for the business. And it suggested that the value curve was flat. The first day you get a salesperson, you get as much value from that person than the 30th or 60th day, which was not true. So at some point, we were banging our heads against the wall. We were thinking, why is this so hard? Why is it so hard to scale this? We have customers, they pay us, they love us, we create great value, but it's really hard to plan and scale this business. We realized we priced the model, our business model and our pricing model actually stopped us from being able to plan, scale this operation up. So here's what we did. We switched the pricing model to a way where you would actually have to pay a deposit 3 to 4 months up front to book your slot as a business if you wanted to work with us. You'd have to pay $5,000 to $10,000 to secure your spot to start with us 3 months from now. And you had to do a pilot. You had to at least to commit as a client for 1 to 3 months to actually allow us to onboard, scale, and deliver success. And we went from making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month in revenue within 2 months to making $180,000 in revenue. And for the first time, being able to actually plan in advance what we wanted to do with a business. Here's another example, Close.io. So when we were running this large-scale sales team, we built a piece of software as an internal secret sauce. We never intended to commercialize the software. We never intended to give it to the world. We just wanted it to empower our salespeople to close more deals, make more sales, be more successful. Eventually, the software got so good that our salespeople would show it to others, and they would be emailing us and calling us and saying, I want to buy the software. So eventually, here's what we did with that business. We built an internal product. We saw outside demand, and we launched it. And from day one, we charged for the product. And then we priced it pretty high, and we increased the price pretty quickly and reached profitability really fast. That business grew so fast that we're now fully focused on Close.io and the software. And I want you to remember that if you're not really embarrassed by the first dollar that you charge too late. It's as simple as that. When we launched our sales software, it had some fundamental flaws, like it didn't have any reporting in there, right? No reporting. But people were still willing and able to pay for it because it was so valuable. And I've run out of time because I was not as flexible in the beginning with getting my slides out of the sequence. But I want to just finish with one thought, right? Not to stretch this too much. And that's that typically when you think about charging for things very early on, you should take the numbers you have in mind, you should double them. Just price higher. You'll see you typically tend to price way too low. And that you should, if you feel the urge to not charge for something at the beginning, let's make it free. Let's just allow the first 1,000 companies to use this without having to pay for anything. That urge might be a strategic thought that is right for your business, but it might also just be the urge to avoid something very uncomfortable. And it's facing the question, were we able to convince them that we can actually deliver something of value? A lot of times I see people, startups, founders, groups, not charging for things because they're afraid of the answer to that question. They're afraid to face, did we actually convince somebody that what we offer is really, truly valuable? Don't do that. Fight that urge. Go where it's uncomfortable and charge for things early, charge often, and charge high prices because that's the best path to profitability. Thank you so much.